If there was ever a reason to subscribe to the 8 or 16 podcast on YouTube, this is it. Don't you think?
Well,
or not?
it's a reason to immediately unsubscribe, I think.
Can we paint the picture for people who are listening? Is it possible to paint this picture?
Well, there you've got two middle-aged blokes wearing silly headsets.
Yeah. The slight issue I've got as well, it looks like I'm always looking up because I've got my window, my Mac window up here, so it's just comfortable to look at. But the offset of that, the downside of that is that on this camera, it looks like I'm looking to the ceiling, so apologies. Although that's the least of the problems with this, I think, really. But yeah, so I'm wearing Vision Pro, and you're wearing... Well, tell me what you're wearing. Introduce your VR self.
Well, so this is a Quest 3, which I've gone on about loads up now because I love it. And attached to it, I have a BoboVR M3 Pro, I think it's called, headset, third-party strap, which makes it much more comfortable. It sort of evenly distributes the weight across my head, and it locks in the focus as well. At some point, I imagine we'll take these off and we'll see how hilarious the imprints are on our faces.
We'll do that right at the end.
I
think that this should be an endurance test as well, because we'll do this, I think, for an hour, maybe just under, because I managed an hour and 30 minutes with this on during a live stream. And I really, really wanted to take it off at that point. What's the longest you've gone with your Quest?
I think I've managed to deplete the battery, which does take a couple of hours. So I've had a good old session on I Expect You to Die, which is my favourite VR game of all time.
Appropriate. I suppose we should kind of explain what this is like from our perspective, because I can't see you. Well, I can see you, but I can see you wearing the headset and vice versa. We can't see what each person is seeing, can we? That's the thing that's a bit mind-bending and a bit of a shame, but we haven't. Neither of us have had a chance to work out how to share what we're showing. I don't know if you can do it on Vision Pro. I don't think. I might be wrong. If people can let me know, I've just not had time to check it out yet. I don't think.
I'm pretty sure you can AirPlay. I'm pretty sure you can AirPlay to your Mac, and then you would be able to set that as a source in StreamYard.
Wonder if I could do that while we're talking. Let me have a quick look. The slight problem is I can't. There's no. If you go into Vision Pro settings, into the what's it called, the control center. There's no screen mirroring type stuff, I don't think. Also, I'm a bit reluctant to press anything because I'm still not used to this, and I worry that something horrendous is going to go wrong. Hang on, what's this?
Right.
Mirror my view. Beg your pardon. Right, okay. So if I do Mark's MacBook Pro, what on earth is going to happen here? Whoa. You can't see that, can you? You know when you go to those...
No, I don't know, I was asking.
You know when you go to those Hall of Mirror things and you look into a mirror and there's a mirror behind you? Mm-hmm. That's what I can see now. Infinite me wearing a Vision Pro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want
to do that.
I can cast this to, a Mac or a Chromecast or whatever. What I've been struggling with is how to then show that on this stream. So I'll try and figure that out for next time.
Fair enough. I've also just lost my connection to the Mac. Right. Where do we start with this, Rob? Because this is all new stuff. I've completely lost the connection to the Mac now. I assume I'm still live. I'm here, aren't I? You can see me.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. Let me see if I can get it back. What do you want to ask me about Vision Pro?
Nothing really. I don't care.
Fair enough. Right. Let's move on. So.
No, what I'm interested in is how well it's been received as a someone in the UK, which is a bit of a novelty. Well, I guess the most interesting thing that's happened this week is that you got invited to talk on BBC Radio Scotland.
I did, yeah. I spoke to a loose woman on BBC Radio Scotland, which is, people in the UK will be aware of this. I don't know if has loose women made it across the border. Is it in other countries? I don't know if it's been licensed elsewhere, but we have a TV show over here called Loose Women, which I don't watch, but it's presented by. I'm digging a massive hole here. Basically, let's forget that. I was on BBC Radio Scotland talking to Kay Adams, and people who are based in the UK may know who she is. They invited me on completely out of the blue. I can't work out if it was just a last minute research thing they were doing, or if someone pulled out and I was the kind of sloppy seconds. But I had an email last week saying urgent in the subject line. We've spotted that you've got Vision Pro in the UK, and we want to talk to someone about it on Monday. Do you fancy coming onto the show and being our guest and joining two other people to chat about the future of computing? To which I said, well, yeah, absolutely, and I did. And I think you listened to it, didn't you?
I did.
What did you think?
Yeah, I grabbed a recording of it and posted it on the Discord. You didn't. It was only what, a 10-minute segment, wasn't it?
If that, yeah, very short.
So there wasn't an awful lot you could communicate in that time, but it was cool, and maybe that'll open the door to more media opportunities in the future.
I think possibly, yeah. It's interesting that they took an interest in it. I think that says quite a lot about Vision Pro itself. I do wonder. I think the peak of interest in this thing for now has passed. I think it probably passed just before I published my first video, but I expected that, to be honest. And I am in this for the long run. I'm kind of committing to this to see what Apple does with it. I know it's a long run, and you certainly realise that when you first get this. But I think we also have to bear in mind that I'm not a VR guy at all. You are much more VR than I've been. We've talked a lot about this, haven't we, over the last couple of years probably, and I've never properly invested in it, and therefore my experience of this is probably tempered a little bit by that. The most obvious example of this is the video that I published yesterday, which was just a kind of but me giving 6 things that I think Apple needs to do to make this an everyday thing. And the video starts with the longest intro I've ever made on YouTube. A real risk this was, because normally my intro, or the hook that we call it, which is the first thing, which, as you guess, is to hook people in, that lasts about 5 seconds, absolute maximum. The one yesterday lasted a minute and a half, because it's just me sat here attempting to drink a mug of coffee. And I do embellish it a little bit, obviously, because why would anyone watch that if I didn't? But there's a genuine thing. I can't demonstrate it now because I do have a straw. But I don't know if I'd love to know if you found this when you first started using VR regularly. But you genuinely can't drink a mug of tea or coffee without doing a weird kind of neck movement where you move your entire body backwards to get the thing down your throat, or you have to lift up the headset. All of this is first world problems. It's not a big deal. But my point with this is that the process of sitting at the computer, bearing in mind that I'm using this mainly for writing and stuff and immersing myself while I'm working, for about 30 years I've been used to sitting there with my laptop with a cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is, and drinking it. And you drink every so often, don't you? Every minute. I don't know what the interval is in between sips, but it's fairly regular. I've now got to completely modify that behaviour, or drink hot drinks through a straw, and I'm never doing that ever. That's just totally wrong. My point with it, I'm not angry about it, and it sounds like I am. It's just the fact that you have to modify your behaviour to use these kind of things in one way or another. And that's, I think, a classic, a really mundane, boring, but regular example of that. The result of this, obviously, is that I've been told 8,000 times to start drinking coffee through a straw or tip my head back, etc., etc. So it worked in terms of getting people talking. That is what I wanted. But it did fascinate me, that reaction. What are your thoughts on the normalities of wearing these things?
There's nothing normal about it, is there? As a seasoned VRer, I'm doing this now, where I'm talking to you through StreamYard whilst wearing this. But yeah, I wouldn't attempt to work in it on a regular basis. So for me, this is an entertainment device, and so yeah, I wouldn't be drinking a cup of coffee while I'm trying not to get blown up or whatever.
That's a fair point.
But yeah, so I don't know if you noticed on your monologue just then that I did a little homage to your drinking, because you can't drink open containers wearing a VR headset. I'll try again.
Again, another reason to watch this on YouTube. You can see Rob doing that. But yeah, it's true. But I think because I'm not gaming on it, I am going to try all that stuff. But because I want to use this as a work device as much as I can, it was a bit of a surprise, really. Not a big deal, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Two other things as well that I've noticed. You can't really laugh with this on because it completely the kind of vision, excuse the pun, goes all blurry because you're laughing and it's moving up and down. The exact same thing actually when you're talking. So while I'm talking now, I noticed this most often on the live stream that I did. Keeping an eye on the comments and things is really tricky while you're talking, because I can't remember what's the name of the focusing thing they do when it's basically keeping stuff in focus that you're looking at, isn't it? So your peripheral vision in Vision Pro, because you're not looking at it, it doesn't have to render it completely sharp and perfect. There's a name for this. I can't remember what it is. Can you?
No, well, as I say, I've really not got involved with Vision Pro.
It does something basic. So when the stuff that you're actually looking at is in focus and it's sharp, but the stuff outside of that isn't, because you're not looking at it. So I guess it's to save processing and all the rest of it. But like I say, as you start talking, you see the results of that quite quickly. It's all this stuff that I'm just getting used to, I suppose, and the weight of this thing.
What? Yeah. So I mean, is your Quest 3 on the way yet? Because I mean, you got to compare them.
I've got to. I might have another option for that, to be honest. So I'm gonna look into that quite soon. But I do need to compare them. What's the weight like for you with the Quest?
Well, with the out of the box, the fabric strap is fine. It's serviceable. But when you get a third-party specialist strap such as the BoboVR, it's a game changer. It completely changes the way the weight distribution and the comfort, and it's locked in. So I'm talking away happily. I've got none of that sort of wobbliness that you experience.
Interesting.
On your Vision Pro. I mean, I haven't got the specs to hand, and I guess I could bring up the notes, but I'm not going to. But in terms of the resolution, the Vision Pro is higher, but not massively so. I'm not at all unhappy with the resolution that I get from my Quest 3 that costs 1/7 of the price. So yeah, I mean, did you see Zuckerberg's video comparing the two, where he went and tried one?
No, I've not seen it yet. I need to watch it then.
It's pretty cringy, because anything with Mark Zuckerberg in is, he's obviously going to come to the conclusion that the Meta Quest 3 is the better headset for most people most of the time, and I do kind of agree with him on most points. I mean, he was trying to sell it as a better device, which I don't think is true. I think as an overall experience, I think it is probably better for most people most of the time, certainly at the moment with the vast software library. Because the Vision Pro seems to be, it's basically unfinished, isn't it?
So funny you just said that. It's literally just restarted itself. And it did this last night. Everything went black. It's just rebooted and I've lost everything. But am I still here?
Yeah, well, I can still see you. Yeah.
If this actually comes out, I'm going to be absolutely amazed. It feels very unfinished, actually. The more that you use it, it feels really we're back. It feels really beaterish. That example where it just restarted itself then for no reason whatsoever. That, and also the sharing with the Mac is very hit and miss. If you've got two Macs in the same room on the same iCloud account, it gets completely confused. I was sat there the other night with my MacBook Pro on my lap. Jen was over on the sofa, and I connected to what I thought was my Mac. The Connect thing appeared above the display, and within 2 seconds, Jen was like, "What are you doing? Where's my screen?" I had her screen on Vision Pro. So that didn't like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, amazing. And then also you can, in theory, share the mouse and the keyboard from your Mac in Vision OS. So a little bit like when you do that with a Mac and an iPad, you can move the mouse pointer into Vision OS. That worked when I first got this. It's just stopped working now. It doesn't work at all. And even when it was working, it was very, very buggy in terms of you'd be typing on something in Vision OS, the Notes app, for instance, and then you look back at whatever you've got open on the Mac, and it's typing in there as well. It's just, I think Marquez said it feels borderline unfinished, and I think that's quite an apt description of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is generally the case with your first gen Apple products, though, because the first iPhone was rubbish, the first iPad was rubbish, the first Apple Watch was rubbish in hindsight, and then 3 or 4 generations later, they become fantastic products. And I fully expect the same to be true of the Vision Pro. But if you want a glimpse, if you want a less annoying glimpse of that future, I do think that the Quest 3 is the thing that most people should get. If the Vision Pro has piqued your interest, it's a much more polished experience from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think this would be a bad buy as a consumer. I think for someone like me, for a developer, whatever, yeah, get one if you've got the budget for it and if it makes sense for your business. But not for anyone else. It would be I think you'd immediately be wowed by it, both from the hardware perspective, because it is a very nice thing. Apple always does this. The unboxing experience is lovely. The hardware itself is lovely. The first experiences you have of it in terms of setting up the eye tracking and first going into your immersive environment, all that stuff is genuinely draw dropping. Certainly, making your way around the interface with your eyes, all that stuff is brilliant. All this kind of thing here where you're moving things around. But I talked about this yesterday, that does kind of go quite quickly. That you get over that wow stuff, and then you're left with was this worth $3,500? It's really heavy. I'm not entirely sure what I need to do with it. It's really buggy as well. And unlike the stuff that you've just mentioned, like the iPhone, the Apple Watch and the iPad, etc., it's not really replacing things on the market that are doing a really bad job of this stuff, as you've described with the Meta Quest 3. VR's been around for a long time. It's a very close-knit community, and like I said in my video, it's not something that you see people walking around with in public, but it's people love it, and it's got its fan base. This has got a really hard job with that in terms of coming in and doing that. So where it goes from here is going to be fascinating, but it's going to be a really long road, I think. It's just going to take forever to get to presumably what Apple wants, which is the glasses-sized version. If that's what they want, maybe they don't.
Yeah, I mean, have you actually managed to do anything productive in it since you got it, or is it just too unreliable and buggy? Because even in this, the 20 minutes that we've been talking, it's reset and it's lost connection, and I mean that must be infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, it's only done that. It's done that twice, and this was probably the worst time for it because we're doing this. Last night wasn't a big deal because I was just faffing around with it. I've edited 2 videos in it, and that's been great. And when I say in it, I mean, again, sharing the Mac screen and using it as a big display. That's really useful if I'm at home and all I've got is the 14-inch MacBook Pro, because there's not a huge amount of screen estate there. That's been really good. Writing in it each morning, I've been writing my blog posts. Again, it's quite nice to do that and have those immersive environments and kind of shut yourself off a little bit. So yeah, I've got stuff done. What I haven't worked out is if I'm just forcing myself to do that because I've got it and I want to experience it. That's the thing that I think over the next 2 or 3 months is going to be really interesting. And I haven't taken it outside and walked around with it because that's a stupid idea. Because you can't see anything over here.
I mean, how are you feeling about the apparent unwillingness of the big streaming services to get involved? So there's no official YouTube app, is there?
No.
But there is a third-party one from the former developer of Apollo,
yeah,
Christian Zeller, called Juno. Have you tried that out?
Haven't tried it, but I will do. I'll give it a go, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that Netflix isn't on it is completely insane, isn't it?
I agree. Yeah, Netflix and YouTube, even like you say, even if there's a third party alternative, yeah, it is ridiculous because Disney's there, Disney Plus is there. Obviously, you have Apple TV Plus, although I can't use that because I'm in the UK. That's the one thing that doesn't work. But yeah, it should have Netflix. Again, it's all red tape and boardroom disagreements and stuff, isn't it? But they do feel like big misses when you put this on, because the first thing you want to do is dive into Netflix and watch your favourite TV series, don't you? But you can't.
Absolutely.
It's a shame because it's good for that. Again, I've not tested this loads, but what I've done in terms of checking out Disney Plus and the iMac experience, it's genuinely great. It's a really good, very solitary but a very good viewing experience.
So I mean, as this is the sort of most you've worn a VR or spatial computing headset, how have you found it in terms of apart from the weight? But I mean, actually, just in terms of eye strain and headaches, dizziness. When you eventually come to take it off, how do you feel afterwards? I'm curious as a relative newcomer to this thing, how it's affecting you.
At first, I felt a bit weird. I think the first 2 or 3 times I used it, it was a bit strange coming out of this world. But now I'm fairly used to it. I don't feel you can feel the pressure having been around your face just because of the weight of it. But apart from that, no, I've not experienced any sickness or headaches really. I had a numb head at one point, but that was down to the strap situation, obviously. So you get in the box, you get the Solo Knit band, which is this one here, which is the only one that you see in the Apple marketing because it looks good. That gives me a numb head, so the kind of area between sort of the crown of my head and the front of the Vision Pro unit goes numb, which can't be a good thing. That doesn't sound to me like that your head should ever be numb. So that doesn't work for me. But with this one on, which is like the double strap thing, it's much more comfortable. But apart from that, no, nothing. It's been... I've not experienced any of the things that have apparently led to a lot of people taking it back. It's been fine. That's one good thing, I suppose.
Yeah. I wish I was more interested. I think maybe I'm jaded because obviously I've had various VR headsets, and so although I haven't tried a Vision Pro, I'm absolutely certain that it does, for the first 10 minutes, delivers that spectacular wow. This is because it's got completely over the top, cutting edge technology in it. But you can get most of the way there with the Quest 3, I think, and you've got the added benefit of the battery is built in.
Yep,
it's lighter.
That's very
you've
true.
got a larger software library. There's a huge array of third-party accessories like the straps and things to make sure that you get the comfort and fit spot on. There is not currently a reason for any normal person to get a Vision Pro, in my opinion.
Totally agree. The battery thing is weird. This whole thing is just strange.
Have you popped a SIM card eject tool in that little hole to have a look at the Lightning Max connector?
I haven't yet. No. I've seen other people do it though.
Are you aware of it?
I am. Yeah.
It's got a big fat Lightning connector in it.
I almost don't want to see it. I don't want it to be there. I'll just if I can't see it, that doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, the battery is a bit odd. I'm not down on this at all. I'm absolutely fascinated by it, and actually, it's been the first tech thing I've had for quite a while where I've genuinely been excited about using it. And getting up in the morning and thinking, I want to check it out again. It's not just another new phone or just another pair of headphones. It's something interesting to talk about. I think.
Well, hold that thought,
okay,
because I've got something along those lines to talk about.
Just
when we're done.
Very quickly. Am I in focus?
I couldn't tell you because it's pretty low res. It looks fine to me.
Fine. The only other issue with this, if you're filming yourself with this, I completely forgot about this before I started filming yesterday's video, is that obviously most cameras rely on eye tracking. And that doesn't work when you've got this on your face. So I've just put this onto manual focus and hoped that it's captured the focus. But and just quickly, the eyesight thing. So this is where a kind of digital version of your eyes appears on the front of the display on Vision Pro. But it only does it when someone walks into the room. So I can't show you it now because I'm here on my own. But that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And it's nothing like Apple advertises it. In terms of, dare I say it, false advertising, this is quite significant, I think. Even the booklet that you get, which is a very nice thing, actually. You've probably seen this. You get a very nice kind of instruction booklet, which is a little bit like the one that you get with the Apple Watch Ultra. This has an image, which I think we've all seen, which is this one.
Yeah.
That has to be doctored. There's no way. It doesn't look anything like that. You can see her eyes perfectly. They're bright. They look relatively normal. In reality, this is a really dark display. You cannot see. Also, you can see now the reflections are horrendous. But regardless of that, it's a very low resolution, very dark display. And as I suspected when we first saw this, even if you can see the eyes, they look utterly ridiculous. So that whole thing, that kind of, if we look at what you're wearing now, that doesn't have a pass-through mode. It doesn't have an eyesight type thing. I can't see your eyes. I can just see three things on the front. But the reason that is the case is because this looks ridiculous. The thing that Apple has attempted to do to make this more or less closing you off from the outside world doesn't work at all.
Yeah, it kind of makes it worse.
It makes it much worse. It makes it even more of a laughing stock, which it was beforehand. So that I can't quite work out why that part of it is so bad and why they let that part of it come out. But there you go. We'll never know the story behind that, I suppose, will we? Until someone gets fired and writes a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if anyone can popularise this sort of thing, it's Apple. Even taking aside your iPhones and your iPads and your Apple Watches, AirPods. Everyone laughed at AirPods.
True.
Saying they look like electric toothbrush heads and no one was going to be seen wearing those. And now every headphone is like that.
True.
Earbud is like that.
I agree. They'll get somewhere with it. It's just going to take a long time, I think, really. Should we move on
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old and grumpy, but I mean, I'm generally a big fan of new technology. I don't know that I want to live in a world where everyone's wearing one of those.
I don't at all. It's weird. It is weird. It's really strange. You sat downstairs and your partner comes down in the morning. You're sat there wearing this. You just look weird. I did it on the sofa last night, and it's like you sat there wearing this, and your partner isn't wearing it, and it is just a bit strange. There's no two ways about it. It's a very solitary thing, but I think it's designed to be a solitary thing. I don't really understand this desire to not make it solitary. It is, and accept that's the case, and use it for that reason. So if you want to be immersed in a game, or if you want to be immersed in work, that's absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Just remember to take it off and experience the outside world and talk to people. Which again is why the eyesight thing is just so daft. Because if someone walks into the room, I'd much rather take this off and talk to them than look at them through this. Personally,
yeah.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe we're just old and grumpy, Rob. I don't know. But I agree. I think that, if anyone's going to do this, Apple will do it. But we shouldn't expect it to happen quickly.
How's the content been performing? So my guess is that you were slightly too late. You're sort of riding the end of the wave, and so I haven't looked at the numbers, but I imagine that you probably have had more engagement on the S24 Ultra than the Vision Pro.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect big numbers with either of these videos really. The first one surprised me because it did really well off the bat. It's pulled back a little bit now and kind of comes and goes in waves. We're experimenting with the title now and the thumbnail changes after the publication date, but they're kind of the best way to describe both of those videos, particularly the first one, is they're like mid-table performance, which I'm absolutely happy with. And it's not just that. Obviously, we've got medium posts, which are doing pretty well, and loads of short-form content, which is doing really well, and that is no surprise. So in terms of the overall impact it's had on my business, it's been what I've expected, really. It's brought attention on it. It's got me on the BBC, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, it's a middle of the road type performer, which It's going to be, I guess, until something significant happens with this, and until the UK, the worldwide launch takes place, which could be whenever. But yeah, it's not done too badly.
Awesome.
Should we move on from VR? We've got to keep these on, Rob, for the rest of the show to see how we feel afterwards.
Yeah, all right.
I still can't believe this, but you've bought a foldable phone, haven't you? And you like it.
I don't just like it; I love it. Yeah, so the ridiculous pre-order deals on the Honor Magic V2. So it's a £1,700 phone that if you coupon stacked, and we've discussed this before. There are various things you could do to get it down to under 1,200 quid. So my beef with foldables previously was one that the crease was prominent, and with each generation it's got better and better to the point where it's barely perceptible now. I didn't like the dimensions. So the Fold 5 is too narrow, and the Pixel Fold is too squat, and there were just always trade-offs that I couldn't live with. Like the Fold doesn't fold flat, does it? The Pixel Fold doesn't fold flat, for example. And then the fact that they are more expensive than a normal phone for what has up until now kind of been a beta product, I think. With the arrival of the Honor Magic V2, I think it's the perfect shape and size, because it is essentially the same size as a normal big smartphone. It's essentially the same dimensions and thickness, crucially, as an iPhone Pro Max.
Yeah, it is, which
I carry anyway.
Yeah.
So the reason I haven't bought one previously is because I felt that they weren't ready. They were either the wrong shape and size, too heavy, had various things that I didn't like about them. But then this came along, and it's like, well, you can use it as a normal phone that just happens to have an enormous 8-inch, almost 8-inch display hiding inside it. And from the moment it arrived, it made me happy. So the box that it comes in is a proper old school big box experience. You open it up, you get the box, and then inside that box, there's an even nicer box. And then inside that box, as soon as you open it, the device is just there in its unfolded state, and it's immediately impressive because it's insanely thin. So when it's unfolded, when it's folded up, it's the same thickness as a normal phone. When you unfold it, it's like 4.4 millimeters thick.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the biggest displays of any foldable. It's got the biggest battery life. They've somehow managed to cram 5,000 milliamp hours into it, and it's got all the latest stuff. It's got fairly recent stuff. So it's got a Snapdragon, was it 8 Gen 2, isn't it? Just perfectly snappy enough. It's got 16 gigs of RAM they've crammed in there, and 512 gigs of storage. So it immediately impressed me from the moment I opened it, especially when you compare it to the boxes that your S24 Ultras and your iPhone Pro Maxes come in, which are a little bit underwhelming. I know that they're selling it as an environmental thing or whatever, but it was really nice to receive an old school big box that was nicely presented. And then in the box you get a 66 watt fast charger, and it is rapid. I haven't timed it, but like you just plug that in and then you're up to 80% within a few minutes. It's absolutely insane. You can't charge anything else with it because it's using Honor's proprietary fast charging technology. But that's the same with a lot of these sort of fast chargers that aren't USB-C PD. But then to use it, the crease is imperceptible when you're looking at it dead on. If you're in a brightly lit scenario and you make an effort to find it, then you can see it. It's barely perceptible to the touch. It doesn't annoy me. So the fact that I was able to get this sort of new exciting technology for less than the retail price of an iPhone Pro Max or an S24 Ultra becomes an entirely different proposition for me. Does that make sense?
Completely, yeah. I mean, Honor do a great job with these things, don't they? In terms of giving you plenty of carrots to go for it. But you did particularly well with this one. Just the headphones.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. So in addition to it being the cheapest, thinnest, with the largest display and the largest battery foldable on the market currently, I'm sure Samsung, Pixel, etc. will respond to it. And you've got the OnePlus Open has come out recently, hasn't it? And that is essentially the same sort of size. It's a bit thicker.
Yep.
But it's also, I mean, the retail price is less, but in reality, because of all the offers and the deals, you would pay more for a OnePlus Open than you would for a Magic V2.
Vision Pro has just restarted again, just keeping the
brilliant.
tally going. That's twice now in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I caught your live stream on it, and it just, throughout that, there were various annoyances over, was it 90 minutes or so you were wearing it for?
Yep. Sorry to interrupt. Yep.
So, yeah, I think I use Android now.
Have you switched?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, I haven't even picked up my iPhone since this turned up.
So you've put your main SIM card in your foldable.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm utterly amazed, delighted, but amazed, because I never thought we'd have this conversation.
Okay, so what's changed my view on this is that previously I've moaned about how I cannot bark things into an Android wearable and have it go into a to-do list. So with an Apple Watch iPhone and reminders set up, you can say, wake word, add, remind me to do such and such in my chores list, and it will put that reminder in the right list. So you can have dozens of lists where you've categorized the things that you want to remember, or you can say, remind me to watch the new Borderlands movie in my watch list, or whatever. It'll go into the right places. You still can't do that, or I haven't found a way to reliably do that. So I just thought, well, okay, can I live without that? So at the moment, I'm just making do with manually typing in things I want to remember into a to-do app, like some sort of caveman. And then the other thing that has always annoyed me about when I've tried to move to like an S24 Ultra is the camera reliability. Just this situation where you can get utterly spectacular photos out of it some of the time. But in actual just day-to-day situations where you just want to capture a particular moment, it will either miss the moment or it will be a blurry mess, and it's no good as a dad, I think. It turns out that the camera in the V2 is not as good as either the S24 Ultra or the iPhone Pro Max at their best, but it is good enough most of the time and is reliable. So I don't think I've sent them. I'll ping you some photos that I took at the weekend that I would not have been able to get on the S24 Ultra.
Interesting.
Just my kids going mental in the playground, spinning round on roundabouts, and doing kid stuff. Although if you go in and you pixel peep, I'm not wild about the colour science. The focus is pretty good. The overall pictures, they're decent, but the important thing for me is that they freeze time in the same way that the iPhone does. So I can use it.
Yeah.
I can use it every day.
Yeah.
So I changed my perspective, because those were the two main things that have stopped me from going all Android all the time. I thought, well, okay, what if I can just do without those things?
And you have.
And the Magic V2 has compelled me to use it.
What about all your shortcuts, all that stuff?
So I am missing those. So you're obviously going to miss all the Apple ecosystem stuff. So I miss the fact that when I sit down at my Mac, it doesn't automatically unlock. I miss the fact that I can't use my phone as a remote control for my Apple TV. But I've just switched to using a Chromecast 4K instead, which I can control from the phone, and they functionally the same. They're fine. In terms of shortcuts, I'm using Macro Droid to do a lot of stuff. Well, one of the shortcuts that I've got on on my iPhone is my movie shortcut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where I can type in the name of a film and it will go off to Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and Metacritic and pull back the ratings and a short synopsis and the cover art and all that sort of stuff. I don't need to do that on with the Google TV app or the Chromecast app, because that brings all of that stuff in line.
Yep.
When you're looking at it. So, and if I do want to find out more information, I've remapped using Macro Droid. I've remapped long press on the power button to bring up Copilot.
Okay.
So I can just ask Copilot to go and pull that stuff in, and it brings back a nicely formatted report that does exactly the same thing as my shortcut on iOS does, but just magically in the way that AI does.
Nice. I'm a bit speechless about this. I genuinely can't believe you've gone for a foldable, and the fact that it's tempted you to pretty much ditch the iPhone and go all in on Android. It's just, I never thought this day would come.
Yeah, it's taken me by surprise as well. I think one of the cool things about it is because you've got that enormous display on the inside, you can remote desktop into your Mac or PC, and it's actually usable. So any limitations that I come across, I can just remote into my Mac and do it from the enormous, almost 8-inch internal display.
Nice. Well, yeah. I mean, in terms of that phone, I completely agree with everything you've said. I think that the camera side of things, as you say, it just saves it, doesn't it? It's workable. It does the job. It's reliable. And to be honest, that's pretty much all you want from a smartphone, a camera system. Because beyond that, it just becomes what image type you prefer. But it's just the weight and the size of it, and you can't really appreciate that until you get it. You can watch all the reviews and what have you, but until you get that thing in your hands and realise just how light it is, particularly if you've handled a Fold 5 or a Fold 4 from Samsung before, then you're going to be really, really surprised, I think.
It makes every previous foldable look like a prototype.
Yeah, it does. Completely right. Yeah, including Samsung, who have been at this for ages, for years. And the width of that front display, it's a proper display. You can use it, but there's also just enough intrigue to open up the big one. And that's the problem with the Pixel Fold, which has got a brilliant front display, but it's too good to the point where you barely open the thing. I didn't find that with the Magic V2.
Yeah, so it's not all roses though, right? Because there's no wireless charging. I'm a big fan of wireless charging. However, that rapid charger does charge so rapidly that it's really not an issue, and it's not waterproof in any way.
It's not. No. Have you tested this?
No.
Maybe I should. I've still got my review in it, mate. Maybe I should.
Did they not send you home with an RSR, the Porsche edition?
No, they didn't.
Porsche edition.
I'd rather have a Porsche, to be fair. I'll see it again this weekend though, because we're going to Barcelona to MWC with Honor, so that'll be interesting. But
oh yeah, who is it? Usual crew.
Usual crew.
Up with your...
Yeah, Ben will be there. I think Pete's coming this time as well, and whoever else will be there when we get there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My first MWC, but it's another phone, another Honor phone, which I will be reviewing. Well, I am reviewing now, but it will be live at the weekend. We can probably all guess what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've entered a draw to potentially buy one of those for £1 when it's launched.
Exciting.
Because I was invited as a Magic V2 owner to enter this raffle where a number of loyal Honor users can buy the phone that you're embargoed on for £1.
You're in the fold now. You're in the Honor fold. There's no getting out of it. You've also gone.
In terms of the downsides, Magic OS is it looks nice. They've really tried to. They couldn't have tried any harder to make it more familiar to an iOS user, which has probably helped my transition, to be fair. However, it's like going into a shopping centre, the shopping mall, and you're walking past the Apple store, or what appears to be an Apple store. You've got the beautiful facade, and then you go inside, and all of the staff are cardboard cutouts of Craig Federighi. Yeah, it's
What an analogy.
It's everything looks very familiar and safe until you try to use it, and then it's cack. But it doesn't matter because I'm not planning on using any of the Honor apps anyway. It looks like an Android skin. It behaves like an Android skin from like 5 years ago. It's it feels scrappy. But it doesn't matter because you stick another launcher on it. You can use other apps and it's fine. And it works well with the Galaxy Watch 6. So I've de-Samsunged the Galaxy Watch 6 as much as I can. So I've instead of Samsung Pay, I've got Google Pay on there, and that all works fine. Instead of Bixby, I've got Google Assistant installed, and that all works fine. And aside from the fact that I can't dictate things that I want to remember into it, I actually don't hate it. It's actually all right. It's fine. It does the job. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But certainly, I've had it over 2 weeks now, and it still makes me happy every time I pick it up. So that's looking pretty. It's pretty positive. I think.
Looking positive. What are you doing with your S24 Ultra? Are you going to keep that as well? Is that going back?
It's too late to send it back now. True. So I'll probably sit in a drawer until next January, and then
swap it again.
See whether or not I want to play the Samsung upgrade game again next year. Yeah, the S24 Ultra is just, it's not exciting, is it? It's really iterative, and the only exciting thing, all the AI stuff is coming to other phones anyway, and you'll have to pay for it at some point. So yeah, it's a waste of time.
Still the best phone that I've ever used, but I know what you're saying. It's less exciting than something like the Fold, because foldables are interesting. You've got a Lark water bottle as well.
Oh yeah, how long have you had yours? Did you buy that?
Ages. No, they sent me this ages ago. Probably coming on for 2 years now. I would have thought. I've got two of these. I've got this one, and also this one's got the filter built into it, so it's got the filter thing in the straw. But I've got the other one with the micro USB cable, which I think you were going to mention. Is that the one that you've got, which cleans itself?
Yeah, you got the Zappy one. Have you actually covered it on the channel?
Have I? Possibly. Maybe it's just a little kind of accessory type thing, but nothing more than that, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really lovely thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't use that one very often, to be honest, and it's that classic thing, and partly because it's micro USB, I just forgot to charge it. The idea is that you charge the lid, don't you, which then uses, I can't remember what the technology is, it's some kind of infrared thing to clean the inside of it, apparently, is that right?
Yeah.
Or purify the water.
Yes, well, UV, yes.
UV light, but you do have to keep it charged, and that I just got fed up with that fairly quickly.
It is a shame that it's micro USB. I didn't realise. I just assumed it would be USB-C, but it looks nice. They're
nice bottles. They're very well made. This one's really good, actually. I'm a big fan of this one, and it's got a straw, so it's compatible with the Apple Vision Pro. So that's good.
Yeah. So we'll stick a. I'm sure people are aware of Lark. It's LRAQ. They're very, very nice, very expensive, but very nice water bottles that you can buy with built-in filters or UV cleaning that cleans itself and all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
But I can't remember why I got it. I think they were on offer.
Did you coupon stack again and get it for like £3?
No, I think it was just an Amazon deal of the day. But
I think we should take the headsets off now as a finale and just see how we're both feeling. Well,
I think my hair is going to be an absolute mess, and my face also.
Look what it does to my hair.
Oh, hang on, I've got to take the headphones off. Right.
Yeah, you forget that, don't you? Wow. Oh. First thing, put my glasses back on. The
right, look at the state of my face.
The MacBook screen looks really sharp. Really sharp. It's quite sharp in Vision Pro land, but it's nothing like the actual thing. How are you feeling?
No, I feel fine because I regularly will wear that for an hour or so.
We haven't got marks, have we? Have we got a...
Oh, I have, yeah. No, maybe it's not coming out on camera, but I've got...
a little bit. You look a bit red. I don't know if that's just the the heat of having that on your face. That's one thing. This doesn't get warm. Does the Meta Quest get warm?
Not really.
That was reassuring for me.
No, the other thing, you have to be careful about how you pick it up. You can pick it up any old way because there aren't bits that fall off it.
Oh, that's a nightmare. I got told off for picking up on this yesterday as well. But so for those who don't know, the Vision Pro headset it has this light seal thing, but it's magnetically attached, and it's probably the least impressive magnets I've used on an Apple device. And you naturally you want to pick it up by that, but if you do that, it falls off. That falls to the floor, and you'll end up in tears. So you have to carry it around like this. And there's a page dedicated to this in the manual. That's how important it is.
Yeah.
There we go. We've done our first VR/AR/mixed reality, whatever it's called, podcast.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about it.
I'm bummed that I wasn't able to figure out how to cast and share what I was seeing, because that would have been fun. I'll try to see if I can figure that out for next time.
I'll try and work it out as well, because otherwise it's just us looking at each other with a headset on, which looks strange. And it was very buggy then. It restarted itself 3 times, I think, and I kept losing the mouse and the keyboard from my Mac, which was reassuring. So lots of bug fixes need to be done, I think. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Have we got any last minute things to mention? Is there a silly thing? There is, isn't there?
Well, there's a couple of silly things. So one is that, I'll be going on about these backbone jobbies.
Yep.
And essentially that's where my where my S23 Ultra lived for most of last year, was just as a display for a mobile gaming device. Turns out, if I just grab it here. Oh, I forgot to mention the nice case that you get with the Magic V2. It's got like a metal kickstand on it.
Yeah, I didn't spot
with
that. No, I didn't even spot that when I unboxed it.
I think it's in the bottom of the box.
Oh, is
like
it?
You have to dig out all of the stuff. Nice material, and yeah, it's got a metal kickstand so that you can prop it up and watch content on it.
Yes.
But so you imagine that you've got, your backbone, and then you whack this enormous phone into it. That's absolutely brilliant. But however, the USB is on the wrong side. So I found another one. It's just a bit niche because they all seem to have the USB on the right side, which is where the USB port is on this, which means that the display descends below the controller. It looks weird. It gets in the way. The weight distribution is all off. Anyway, so I found this one. It's a GameSir X2.
Nice.
Which has got the USB on the other side. So
I think I've got one of those.
You got a GameSir X2?
Is it brand new, the X2? I've got a GameSir something. It was a little while ago, to be fair.
I think if it's brand new, you will have the G8 Galileo.
Oh, it's not that one. Sorry, no. Mine's older. So I think mine is the X2, because the X2 isn't the latest one, is it? Is that right?
It is not the latest.
I think that's the one that I've got.
Well, let me pop this in. Right. Let's fire up.
What have you been playing on it?
Hang on.
I can hear stuff.
That's it.
Okay.
That is, in case you're not, that's Monkey Island.
It's Monkey Island. I can see it.
So using this controller, I can be Guybrush.
Amazing. Guybrush Threepwood on a foldable phone. Who ever thought we'd get to that stage?
Yeah.
But here we are.
So I'm going to send you this photo that I took on a phone. But that is a nice photo.
Very nice,
it's not the best photo I've ever taken, but in terms of like the colours, the sharpness, the focus, and as I say, she was in motion when I took that photo, and it nailed it.
Impressive. What focal length was that?
Whatever the normal.
Oh, the normal one.
The main sensor. Because I mean, it's got like a couple of 50 megapixel one and like a a bonky 2.5x zoom. I do miss the reach of the 5x. In terms of smartphone photography, the 5x focal length is my favourite, I think.
Oh, me too. It's brilliant. It's the standard, I think. Really, I think in fairness to the Magic V2, it was before the iPhone popularised that, as it always does when it was first launched. But yeah, that's the one thing is a bit of a miss, really. But we can forgive it that for everything else, really.
So I've got the Game Sir X2, and in terms of other silly things, I've got a Bluetooth Rubik's Cube.
Of course you have.
You seen this?
No.
This is called a Go Cube, and it pairs with an app on your phone, such that the visual 3D representation of the cube in the app changes as you're doing the cube. Because I imagine, to look at me, you think, right, that looks like a guy who knows how to do a Rubik's Cube. And you would be wrong. I've never figured it out. And this app will teach you how to do... I don't know. Look, right, there are YouTube videos, there are guides. It's never quite resonated in quite the same way as this Go Cube, because it's showing you step by step with a virtual cube that responds to your physical cube. So I'm learning how to do Rubik's Cube using... And it's absurdly expensive for what it is. I think it's like 50 quid or something. But I'll put a link in the show notes because it's fun. It's a fun, silly thing.
50 quid. Crikey. At least you'll learn how to do it. Be worth it.
Maybe. It might still not stick. But, yeah. Well, once you have learned to do it, they've got all kinds of leaderboards and stuff, so you can do challenges and speed runs. And I'm not going to do any of that. I just want to learn how to do a Rubik's Cube. You do a Rubik's Cube?
No. I get very frustrated with that sort of thing very, very quickly.
I mean, I could do other Rubik's. I do remember back in the day there was Rubik's clock.
Vaguely remember that, yeah.
So that had like I think 9 clock faces and some buttons that you could press, and as you turned the clock faces, other clock faces would turn depending on the buttons that you press. Or the Rubik's Magic with the sort of coloured rings.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Folded up. I could do that one. But yeah, no, just never quite understood the Rubik's Cube. So yeah, watch this space. Maybe by next time I'll know how to do a Rubik's Cube.
You got 2 weeks to absolutely master it and do it in 10 seconds. That's what I'm expecting. What an episode that would be. Right, I suppose we're done, Rob, aren't we? We've done our Vision Pro coverage now for the next 12 months.
Yeah, we've only talked about 2 things really. We've talked about Vision Pro and the fact that I use Android now.
It does dominate. This is the thing with Vision Pro. Anything big like this tends to dominate for a bit, doesn't it? But I think we need a break. We need a break from it. I need a break from it now in terms of covering it. So, but I am going to carry on using it. It's going to be, I think anyway, it's going to be a kind of fixture, a permanent fixture in what I'm doing. But it just depends how well it integrates itself into my life. That's the thing that I'm really not sure about at the minute. But we will see. We will definitely see. Right, I've got to go to the gym, and the reason I've got to go to the gym, I think he's watching actually. Mark Fox is my new personal trainer, and if he's not watching, then he'll perhaps see this. But yeah, he's very kindly doing some personal training for me, and it's hard work, but in the best possible way. So I need to. I'm not doing it wearing Vision Pro. I'll say that straight away. That's not a fitness device, but he is watching. Hi, Mark. Thanks for wearing me out at the gym. So yeah, I need to go and do that.
Awesome.
Fun. So I'll see you again in normal reality in 2 weeks, Rob.
Are we doing it in 2 weeks? Because we missed a week, didn't we?
We did miss a week.
We're going to get back on schedule. So this week is late, isn't it? Because we were busy with Vision Pro stuff. So I don't know. We're going to do it next week, or we're going to do it 2 weeks from now.
I think we'll have to do it 2 weeks from now. Given MWC this weekend, it's a bit of a.
Oh, of course, yeah, you're away, aren't you?
I'm technically back, but in what state I'll be, I have no idea. So while that could be quite amusing, I think we'll leave it for the regular 2 week. Right. See you then.
Have fun. I'll see you then.
Thank you. Cheers.